Hello, artsies! Welcome to week 9 of Quarantine Art. We are in the home stretch. It's June. Summer's around the corner. We've got a challenge up for you for this week that I think you're going to really dig. We have one more challenge, and then we're going to have another evaluation check-in week the week after for week 10. So just like we did before, we did 4 weeks of challenges and the one evaluation check-in for that. So keep your ear to the ground for that in the coming week. This week, Quarantine Art, this is what we're tackling. How might we artistically commemorate this time in our lives for our future selves? All right, this is kind of like the time capsule week. All right, so this is like a really weird time, as you know, and unprecedented. And how can you capture this for your future self? So I want you to picture like you 40 years from now going through an old bin of mementos and old artworks and things like that, and something that you bring out, you're like, oh man, right? It's like reading something in the yearbook that your friend wrote like 5 years ago, but like, you know, like you're showing your kids this. You're like, yeah, this is me during the pandemic, and this is what I marked. All right. So if we deconstruct that question, how might we artistically, okay, so the method of creation should draw on the creative process, brainstorming, thumbnailing, practice sketching, and coming up with the ideas, and be visually expressive, okay? But it's open-ended still. And then commemorate is like, what are the important things in our lives at this point during this distance learning and during this pandemic quarantine time that we want to remember 40 years from now, all right? So, and then the future selves, like, as I said, like what's interesting 40 years from now that you look back and you're like, wow, this really marks that time. And because it's about ourselves, is like, what makes your day easy, fun, better, manageable, necessary? All right. So we've practiced these themes in past challenge weeks. So this is kind of one that you're putting it all together for that. All right. So the checklist for this week is brainstorming. Okay. What do you want to celebrate or mourn at this time? How's the pandemic made you feel overall? And what image that strike you about this time? All right, so that's the brainstorming part. And then you want to think about an artwork that you love and consider what it tells you about the time that it was created. And then consider the future, looking back from there. What will you think about it? What enters your mind? So what are you putting in it now that you look back on it, that you'll like understand in the future, that you'll have kind of things to unpack, as so to speak. And then how do you take what has affected you during the pandemic and envision it into an artwork? All right. So it could be like a painting. It could be a comic book page where you do kind of like graphic novel style collage. Some of you really gotten into the photography. Maybe you use photography, interpretive dance. I don't know. Maybe it's like a journal entry, sculpture. I show you some examples about time capsules, that kind of thing. Then plan out your approach and practice some technique, and then create. All right. This week I'll be online probably Tuesday afternoon again to get some feedback on some ideas. Thank you so much for coming to the idea jam last week. I think it was really helpful for those of you who did come to like bounce some ideas off of, get that kind of like seal of approval that you're like on the right track. I'm able to offer you suggestions on how to make it smoother or better, or give you some ideas to launch you forward. So we're going to do that again for an idea jam, and I'll post that on Classroom. Now, we don't really need to go through that. You can take a look at that on your own. So here's some ideas. All right. So here is a First World War soldier's time capsule that was unpacked. So it's got like photographs of people that that it's important to him, his old cigarette case, and his ID, and a journal, and things like that. And so it's kind of like a marker of time in terms of like who and what is important to you during the pandemic. And then how would you assemble and compose them in a way that shows that they're important to you, right? So here's some ideas that you can dig into, and you can look at the links. This is so wild. This time capsule purse from the 1950s, it was discovered lodged in between a wall space in a locker in a school, and it was like an accidental time capsule. So I'll leave you to look into that. It was like in a high school, a purse that was lost and was like wedged in there, and you open it up, and it's like such a wild kind of marker of this package that is kind of like a little sculpture marking the time. The 9/11 terrorist attacks is another kind of like monumental event that happened, almost, 2001, a long time ago at this point. And there are artists that documented that. So I really like this one on the right hand side, because it's got like images of people reacting, and it had a kind of comic book vibe to it, and it showed different people, the fire department and the police, and someone's reaction to it. This was another one too that was like a more abstract with kind of textures and things like that. Here's another one with a time capsule here, and 105-year-old time capsule that was like in a box and things like that. Interesting. I created my own time capsule with my son, like right before the pandemic. We were having a little mini reno, and we put together a little case and we embedded it in the wall, because the wall was opened up in our house and we knew that we were gonna drywall over it. So like right at the very beginning, I put a newspaper article in about like, wow, everyone's talking about this new virus, but it was like before quarantine and all this kind of stuff, and it's locked into the wall somehow, somewhere. So someone who buys my house, years from now may discover it and kind of mark that thing. So you can think about like newspapers and things like that if you go the time capsule route. This one on the right is about like plastic and environmental art and our overuse of plastic, and they used the plastic to create the sculpture, which I thought was a cool use of material. If you're interested, there's JR is a really cool professional photographer, talking about the role of artists responding in this moment. So if you want to dive into that, there's a video for you to watch. Jose Naranja has an amazing Instagram feed. He does these tiny little books where he has like really neat typography in these tiny drawings, and like that book that you see there is like one of these like tiny little ones, which is really cool. Things are organized neatly. We've seen that before, but this might be one way, if you kind of go the time capsule route, that you arrange the things that are important in this moment and document them in like a top-down kind of like very organized kind of way. And then there's an artwork there. It's a sketch that kind of takes that kind of same visual element to it. Okay. As always, hopefully you're getting used to this by now. You want to document the process as much as you can. You're getting used to like creating and taking a photo, and then creating more and taking a photo, that kind of thing. So because the documenting the process is a really important part of it. Then you want to document the finished product too. This is Damien Hirst, the richest living artist. Currently, he does these works with butterfly wings. Those are actual butterfly wings, which is kind of crazy. But it was a tribute to healthcare workers with the rainbow. And then submit it on Google Classroom. In addition, so that's our challenge for the week. And in addition, we're launching to mark the beginning of June. Some of you were asking that you kind of missed those, just like the doodly sketchbook projects, kind of like Inktober, the ones that we would like start the class with, that were kind of fun, that would keep you drawing day to day. And so we're launching Getting Jiggy with June. All right. So Getting Jiggy with June is like one sketch prompt a day for the month of June. These are optional if you want to, if you're like looking for a new prompt to kind of play with. We have one for every day of June, and everything from a lot of hair, hammocks, boxed in, origami. It's a sign. It's how you interpret those prompts however you'd like. If you do have an art Instagram, if you want to tag Quarantine Art and use the hashtag GettingJiggywithJune, we'll start to repost some of those sketches, and that's just a fun way to stay involved with just kind of like daily fun sketches through the month of June. That's another option for you. All right. So there's a wrap on this week. Hopefully you are able to come to an idea jam on Tuesday, bounce some ideas off. You got some ideas for how to commemorate this. Good luck, artsies. Have a great week.